What's up, everyone? This is Duke Dodson from Graybo's, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network. And remember, there is no off-season.
This is Mark Aaron from WSB Radio in Atlanta, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the number one place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off-season.
What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. This is the Sports Card Strategy Show brought to you by Graybo's Sports Cards. Graybo's Sports Cards is a local card shop located in Richmond, Virginia, and is owned by Gray Barnett, Ryan Fitz, and Duke Dodson, who you know as Denny One Time. Graybo's sports the best selection of singles in the Mid-Atlantic and a wide variety of wax. Graybo's is happy to announce that they are now the only direct buyer of Topps Bowman in Central Virginia and are now breaking daily on Fanatics Live. They are moving to their new larger shop, which will be connected to the hottest sports bar in Richmond in the near future. Stay tuned for those details. Listeners of Sports Card Strategy can use the promo code STRATEGY2023 to get 10% off any purchase on Graybos.co. Graybo's loves the Sports Card Strategy family and is proud of their long-standing partnership with Hickey Baby and the gang. Don't forget to get a free 30-day trial at nooffseason.com today to help you make money flipping sports cards, build your sports card investment portfolio, get unlimited advice from our experts, and take Sports Card School to navigate the hobby. That's nooffseason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today. All the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from marketmoversapp.com. Use code NOOFFSEASON at marketmoversapp.com to get 20% off for life after a free 14-day trial. All right, let's get to the Sports Card Strategy.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Connor Barnett, head of content at nooffseason.com. Welcome to the nooffseason.com family and the Sports Card Strategy Show. We're here to help you make money flipping sports cards and build a collection that increases in value. You want to know how to buy the right card for the right player at the right time, and we are here to help you do just that today. We've got a bunch of good segments for you teed up and ready to go. A potential new right card for baseball prospects. We're going to get Paul's thoughts on this and if it's something that you should fade or maybe cautiously approach. March basketball breakouts with Gary from Hoops and Cards. We've got an invest or fade segment, potential opportunities. We'll get Paul to fade or hop along with. 7 minutes of strategy preview. Our next guest is massive in the hobby, so stay tuned there. Upper Deck Series 2 release. Connor Bedard's Young Guns is hitting the market. What is the play on those prints? And then we're going to round things off with the audience Q&A today. I'm alongside my main guy, Paul Hickey. Paul, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday?
What's up, Connor? Good to see you, my man. I'd like to welcome in new and returning listeners of the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome to the nooffseason.com family. I am very grateful to be here, feeling very fired up and happy to welcome in everybody to our show, to our family. And just want to say a few things here at the top of the show, Connor. We've been grinding for about the last 4 years here at nooffseason.com and the Sports Card Strategy Show. And our mission is to really build a community of positivity. You know, in a world full of fear, doubt, negativity, smearing, trolling, hating, the hobby is not that place. The hobby is a place where we want to spread positivity. We want to get to know each other. We want to share insights. And specifically at the Sports Card Strategy Show, we talk about and focus on helping people make money flipping sports cards. So that's what we're here to do, but make no mistake about it. We're here to build a positive community. And I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank our entire audience because we're growing. I want to welcome in all of the new people that continue to join us each and every week. We put out 2 shows a week right here at youtube.com/Paul Hickey and the Sports Card Strategy Show podcast feed on Apple and Spotify and a lot of other podcast apps. So I'm grateful. I'm ready to get into some insights. You've done a great job. You're always back in the lab, bringing us our insights for the Wednesday show. So I'm ready to get into it, man. You know, I'm reflecting right now because as we've grown, I've noticed that it's not all positive in the community. You know, I like to think that we're here for these positive reasons to help people, give people insights, talk about different ways to help them make money flipping sports cards, strategies that we bring to the table. The reason I started this show is because I felt like 4 years ago, there was just a bunch of podcasts about people talking about their opinions on card designs and, you know, talking about what sets they liked best and why they like to collect different sets and why they like to collect. And that's fine. I've become friends with a lot of those people since I started the Sports Card Strategy Show. I respect those people. They've been on our show and I've been on their show. They respect what we do and I respect what they do. But I created this show because that stuff's not for me. I love to talk about the data. I love to talk about helping people make money using the pattern recognitions that we pull from the data. And that's what this show is all about. And I think there's a lot of people that have come in the last year that I just want to give a little perspective to. You know, I just want to say a few things from the heart here, Connor. No pressure on you to say anything here, but feel free to chime in if you want before we get into the live chat love and thank the audience that I've been talking about so much. Look, I'm leaving a 6-figure job to do this full time because I love it. This doesn't make anything near 6 figures. I'm not going to pressure you to have you tell the audience what your salary is. The job that you left paid probably about 2 or 3 times more than what I'm paying you. But you're our head of content and you're doing a phenomenal job. I just want to give everybody some perspective out here in the audience. I'm here because I love doing this. Period. I love talking about sports cards, and I don't love talking about my opinion on what sets I like best and what designs I like best. I like talking about sports cards from how can we help you with our insights on our guidelines, strategies, and plays, our tried and true guidelines, strategies, and plays to help you make money flipping sports cards. That's why I'm here. I'm not even here to make money. I'm here because I love it. So I just want to say that from the top, and I want to say that I'm grateful for everyone's support of the show. We're going to continue to be here. We're going to continue to try new things with the format. And I'm open to any and all feedback. And I've always put my email out there, paul@nooffseason.com. Yet I put my address on the show, for crying out loud. People know where I live, Connor. I mean, now for those of you new to the show, and for those of you who are keeping it positive, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about or why I'm going on this rant. But let me just say, as our audience has grown, I have had to try to stay more and more focused on staying positive, keeping my eye on the prize, which is getting in the lab with Connor, meeting people out in the hobby that are good people, helping them, creating content with them, bringing them on the show, trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to bring you insights on this show, the Sports Card Strategy Show, what I believe is the best sports card podcast that you could find anywhere. And that's no disrespect to all of my colleagues in the hobby. I think there's a lot of great content creators out there. I just think that what we do here is the best. I know that a lot of you may not believe that, and that's fine. And like I said, paul@nooffseason.com. Email me, please. I want to know who you are. I want to get to know you. I want to know how we can help you. I want to know how we can make our show better. That's how I'm doing.
Really, really well put there, Paul. You mentioned positivity to kind of lead off your quick discussion there, and I think that's big for me. I think the camaraderie in the hobby, when we go visit places and I get to meet our fantastic audience members, our partners, our sponsors, people like that. Like feedback that we do get from people that say we're helping them. For me, that's kind of the why. I love getting stuff like that. You know, we see it on the Overflow show some where we get that feedback in the questions. It's like, you guys have literally changed my entire perspective or how I'm enjoying the hobby. I'm like, that's it right there. That's the excitement. That's the big stuff. So I think that's important to talk about just so for the audience to understand why we're doing what we're doing and kind of where the gratification comes from for us. So I think that's well put there. Anything else that you want to add before I hop into some live chat love?
No, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Happy Wednesday, guys. We've got the live chat already jumping. It looks like Cleo Cards. That's Cleveland, Ohio, not Cleopatra. Dylan L. Monday and Wednesdays are my favorite days because of this show. Thanks, Paul and Connor and the No Off Season fam. We love that. Dylan, Shane Graham in the house. Appreciate the support on a showly basis, Shane. We got Jeff Miller in the house. Perk from Sport Your Cards. Thanks for being here. Our guy, Ryan Painter. Dylan L. Again, apologies for the repeats. Oh, my shoes in the house. Good to see you at the top of the show. Shoes. All right, Paul, let's go ahead and get right on into things. Remember, guys, to ask your questions in the live chat along with your L's and W's, and we will shout you out or answer the questions at the end of the show. And if you do like the content we're putting out on a daily/weekly basis, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. It's one of the best ways that you guys can support us outside of signing up for a premium membership. And of course, join the Discord at sportscardstrategy.com to participate in the ongoing conversation there as well.
Yeah, speaking of the ongoing conversation on the Discord, that's why I'm fired up this morning. There's people on our Discord, on our own Discord, and shout out Oh My Shoes. Oh My Shoes is an OG of the Sports Card Strategy Show and NoOffSeason.com fam. He's been around for a long time, almost as long as Greeny Green and a lot of others here, SSI. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like I'm gonna leave people off that have are an OG. Ryan Borusky, who God knows where he is, but shout out Ryan Borusky. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been around for a long time. Lefty McKee, of course. But look, Shoes set up this Discord a long time ago, and he was like, "Hey, Paul, I think you should have a Discord. I think that it's a good place where the community can talk to one another, get to know one another, and we can build the fam out on the Discord." And I agreed. And Shoes built up all the channels. Inadvertently misspelled community, which was pointed out very funnily by one of our Discord members, and I changed the name to properly spelled community chat, and then people kind of fake got mad at me for that. But people real got mad at me for things on the Discord recently. People are flipping out on the Discord over really some little stuff. And so, I don't like, they're actually like daring me to ban them in some of these things. And look, that's just shenanigans, foolishness. And I'm not going to do that. The Discord is free. It's open. We don't charge for it. There's a lot that we don't charge for. We don't charge for 99% of the shit that we put out, Connor. We don't charge for it. So I'm not going to ban anybody from the Discord, but I will ask this. Let's be respectful. Let's not take personal shots. Okay. Let's have a little bit of perspective and let's keep it positive. Let's keep the community chat positive. You can join the Discord by going to sportscardstrategy.com. And look, you're going to say what you're going to say. And Cleo Cards put in the comments a second ago, as the great philosopher once said, haters going to hate. You just got to shake it off, shake it off. I get it. But I'm telling you, Connor, it's harder and harder for me to shake it off. What I want to do is I want to tape my ankles and get ready for this show. I want to boot up the mixer, throw on my hat, and start screaming into the mic about insights. And I don't want to waste people's time with be positive, don't be negative, blah, 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 blah. We're adults, right? We're adults. Let's get into the insights, man. But first, I want to give a special thanks to our NoOffSeason.com network partner, CGC Cards. Check out NoOffSeason.com and click the banner ad for CGC Cards and get more great details on their grading service for PC protection starting at $12. This supports us. It supports CGC Cards. And of course, please know that I am grading my cards for flipping purposes with PSA, but I'm always considering potentially sending some of my cards to CGC to try out their experience for myself. Are you ready to start grading your cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite cards from their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing. Hoarders. Yeah, I call people that are collectors hoarders sometimes. Just kidding. But from their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. Speaking of, one of the Discord members ripped on my question of the day on Monday, saying it was pretty self-serving. Connor has an amazing question of the day today that is not self-serving. I'm going to let him serve that up to you here in a second, but I want to say something else, because I caught a lot of flack for having too many sponsor reads in Monday's show. I did. You know, people commented on the YouTube video at youtube.com/Paul Hickey saying, it took 20 minutes before you even said anything worth anything. I fast forward, this and that. Great. Good for you. You want a sponsor-free show? Do you want a sponsor-free show? I have an idea for you. I've got an idea on how to do a sponsor-free show for all of 2025. You want a sponsor-free show for all of 2025 and maybe even some of 2024? Email me at paul@nooffseason.com. We can talk about a sponsor-free show. All right, Connor, question of the day, baby. You're up.
Let's do it. Let's hop into it. Paul has talked a lot about understanding your why when you're either collecting or investing in sports cards, and we're interested in learning more about the audience. So the question of the day is, what is your holy grail card and why? We do want to know. Paul, I'm assuming this is pinned over at the Instagram Sports Card Strategy. So guys, you can comment there, comment on the video, comment in the live chat. We're curious in seeing what your why is, why you're interested in flipping sports cards, and what your holy grail card is there. And Paul, I want to know what your holy grail card is before we hop into the show.
Yeah, holy grail card is a great question. Connor, great question of the day. Like he said, we want you to jump over to Sports Card Strategy on Instagram, answer that question, or drop a comment below on the video here. My holy grail card, Connor, is the 1980 Topps triple card of Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. So it's a double rookie card. And Dr. J is the third card. So there's actually like many versions of that card, because in that set, Topps released like 3 perforated cards that, when put together, are the size of a regular card. And so that card's interesting to me because Magic Johnson is near and dear to my heart. He's my all-time favorite NBA player, always will be. And, well, unless my son Max makes it to the NBA. But other than that, Magic Johnson will be my favorite NBA player of all time. More on that story to come on the Sports Card Strategy Show in the future. But that rookie card of his, where it's also Larry Bird's rookie, is pretty dang cool. And there's a bunch of different variations of that card. There's some where you'll get the same photo of Magic and you've got other players attached to it in the triple card. But the one with Dr. J and Larry Bird's got to be my grail. Really, in any PSA slab. I would take it in any PSA slab. I think, obviously the cheapest version would be like an authentic or a PSA 1. They're still pretty expensive. It's too expensive of a card for me to just have sit around. So more on that and why I don't have, I could certainly afford a PSA 1 or a PSA authentic of that card, but I'm putting money into, Darius Garland PSA 10 kabooms for other reasons. So I'm going to tell that story on a future episode of the Sports Card Strategy Show, but I want to know your story. Connor wants to know your story. So what is your holy grail card and why? Go over to Sports Card Strategy on Instagram, follow us, drop a comment on that pinned post, and we want to know what yours is.
I love it. Good stuff, Paul. All right, guys, we're going to hop into the segments for the day, kicking things off with another right card talk debate. We're always looking for opportunities. Like Paul says, we're always in the lab looking for ways to help you guys make money flipping sports cards. So today I found something that I thought could potentially fit into our category of right card. And if Paul's fading it, that's fine. But at the very least, we'll gain more insight as to what exactly are qualities and characteristics that make things the right card. So let's go and hop into it. The potential right card for today is the Bowman's Best Autos, as they seem to be performing similarly to the Bowman Chrome Autos that we talk about all the time, as spring training is kind of fueling these card spikes for baseball prospects. So let's start with Spencer Jones. Exploded as of late due to his elite spring training performances to kick off the season. He started off 5 for 5 with a homer. Over the last 30 days, his 2023 Bowman's Best of 2023 autographs, green refractor of 79, in raw is up 116%, which is the second biggest riser for him. It went up from $65 to $145. and sold 11 times. Also, his 2023 Bowman's Best of 2023 autographs base in Raw is up 150% and traded a whopping 154 times over the last 30 days. It's not just Spencer Jones that we're seeing a similar trend with. We got James Wood, who's been hitting bombs in spring training as well. Also seeing market spikes. His highest risers is 2022 Bowman's Best of 2022 autograph space, which is up 114% over the last 30 days. Then you got guys like Ethan Salas, who just, despite being reassigned to minor league camp, his 2023 Bowman's Best of 2023 autographs in Raw is up 18% over the last 30 days and traded 88 times over that period. So here's my question for Paul. Is this a potential new right card for us to be investing in for baseball prospects? Is it simply a case of water raising all ships because these players are popping off and it's the baseball hype cycle? Paul, these cards appear to be pretty liquid, and at the moment they seem to be responding pretty well to sell markers. What characteristics are these cards missing, if any, Paul, and where you're sitting in terms of fading or investing in the Bowman's Best?
This is why Connor Barnett is our head of content at nooffseason.com, because he makes me better. He makes everyone better. When he's in the lab, he's figuring these things out. He's bringing them to the show, and he's challenging me here because Lefty and I basically spent all of 2022 and 2023 trying to figure out what the right cards were for players. And we landed on the Bowman Chrome First Prospect Base autos. And the reason we landed on that is because they're the most liquid. They're the easiest to get in and out of, and they have the highest upside at sell markers. But this is an example of another right card. There can be more than one right card, and I'll explain why in a second. I know I always say the right card for the right player at the right time, and I think sometimes that sounds very literal because it's singular right card, but really it's referring to the fact that there can be more than one right card for the right player at the right time. And this is an example of when there can be more than one right card. But let me break it down because I think it's important to understand why we focus on the Bowman Chrome First Prospect autos and why we don't talk that much about sets like Bowman's Best. People will ask us questions about Bowman's Best because there's a lower entry point, $67 entry point here, $145 price now, sold 11 times, very liquid. I think there's a couple different factors at play here. One, it's out of 79. So there's a lower print run on it. Two, and I think this is the biggest thing, it's performance-based. It's a performance-based spike. It's not a selling marker where Spencer Jones has been called up. So this is something it's easy to call me out on. It's easy, for those of you new to the show, there's, why I'm saying it's easy to call me out on this is because I have built these guideline strategies and plays at nooffseason.com and talked about them often on the Sports Card Strategy Show related to fading certain cards and focusing narrowly on certain cards like the Bowman Chrome First Prospect Auto. And the reason why is because these types of cards, 2023 Bowman's Best Green Refractor Auto out of 79, are dependent on performance spikes. They are what you said a minute ago, Connor, rising tide lifting all boats here, right? Because when we look at Spencer Jones's Bowman Chrome First Prospect autos and his serial numbered versions of those are also up massively, and they're up with a higher upside. Now, some of them might not all be up 116%. Many of them are. And I think that this is an example of Spencer Jones hitting bombs in spring training, elite performance during spring training, as you have it worded here in the show notes. Totally agree. And so it's easy to call me out and say, look, you don't know what you're talking about, Paul. You can buy any Spencer Jones card and it's up right now. Yeah, that's correct. In hindsight, it's easy to say, yeah, all these Spencer Jones cards are up right now. My point of view is this. When you're looking to buy into any sports card, you have to look at the lowest common denominator in terms of selling marker, which means fading any potential performance spikes because we don't know if or when those are going to happen, and looking at buying in at the right time and selling during a selling marker that is non-performance related, like the hype leading up to a season, or in baseball prospects case, the initial call up, in football prospects case, the NFL draft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a perfect example of the right time because it's a performance marker. If you happen to own this card, sell it now. Bowman's Best is not a set that you should buy into expecting to profit on it very often. I hate to say the word lucky because it's not lucky. Let's use the word very fortunate, Connor. Very fortunate that there's a selling marker for this card due to a performance spike. And so that's my long-winded way of saying, look, you guys can make money buying all sorts of cards. You know, the audience has proven that many, many times on this show. We have great insights from audience members like Mosaic Joe, Lonnie Conley, Greeny Green. There's people out there scrapping, grinding to make money flipping sports cards. You guys all in the audience do a phenomenal job of it. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the plays that we put out at nooffseason.com or on the Sports Card Strategy Show. I think this is an example of one of those times. I think this is an example of one of those times where these cards are up, but these are not the type of cards that I would buy into because the downside, the potential downside outweighs the upside on these cards. So call me boring, call me the Dave Ramsey of sports cards, call me whatever you will, but I'm fading this. I'm fading Bowman's Best. I'm not buying in. If you have Spencer Jones Bowman's Best right now, great job. Sell it. You definitely are making money.
Yeah, well put, Paul. I think if you consume a lot of our content, something that you'll hear us often say, when you guys, especially on the Overflow Show, are asking us about particular cards that we're fading, usually we include, this doesn't mean that you can't make money on them, because our job essentially is to try to bring you the best opportunities when we're looking for the right card to have the lowest risk with the healthiest upside, right? So it's not that these cards that you guys are asking like can't or impossible to make money on. That's not what we're saying necessarily. We're just trying to get you guys moved to the direction of the healthier standpoint to take with lower risk and higher upside. Would you agree, Paul?
Yeah, and I think like we're helping you try to make the right decision. So like this is a great conversation to have, and I'm glad that you pointed out these Bowman's Best cards, because I think the question is like, when you see these types of cards going up, should that trigger an action item for you moving forward to buy into these type of cards? No, because I think you need to look at all Bowman's Best cards. Like look at Bowman's Best cards across the board for guys that aren't necessarily performing well right now. Like I would venture to guess, and I could be totally wrong because I don't have the data in front of me, but I would venture to guess that if you're looking at Jackson Churio, Bowman's Best cards right now, for example, or Drew Jones, or just any regular baseball prospect that's been on people's radars for a while, Marcelo Mayer, my guess is that because they haven't been performing as well as Spencer Jones in spring training necessarily, now not that they've been performing poorly, but just that they haven't been as hot as Spencer Jones, their Bowman's Best are like not even close to performing as well as their Bowman Chrome First Prospect Autos. That's all I'm saying. The Bowman Chrome First Prospect Autos have the highest floor and the highest upside throughout the year, regardless of performance, regardless of time of year. They're always going to be that way. It's the most desirable set. That's where we want you focusing your money. And Bowman's Best, Bowman's Best is cheaper for a reason. It's cheaper for a reason. When the selling marker happens for the average player at the average selling marker, not a performance spike, you don't typically see this. So I think that the Spencer Jones and possibly the next couple of guys that you're talking about, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's get into it, Connor. I think the Spencer Jones situation is not an anomaly, but it's a fortunate situation for the people holding this particular Spencer Jones card.
Good stuff. I'm gonna ask one more question and then we can move on, just because it came to my brain as we got to it. So we always talk about right player, right card at the right time. Let's pretend like you're someone that has a lower level of upfront capital to invest, right, Paul? And you have to choose between Am I going to buy a Bowman Chrome first auto of someone that maybe isn't at the top of our list for right player, or I can get the right player and look at a Bowman's Best You or autograph, and incidentally have to go with either right player or right card? Which way would you roll here? I'm curious.
Yeah, wow.
Tough question.
If I can answer honestly, I would fade both. But if I'll play the game with you, and I would say I would probably say the right player at the right time and leave out the right card. If I had to choose, because you're getting two out of the three. If you can't afford the right card, but you can get 2 out of the 3 out of that formula, I've never really said that you need all 3 in that formula, but if you can get 2 out of the 3, then you have a higher chance of profiting. So if I have to choose, I'm going to fade the wrong player, right? In this scenario, I'm going to fade buying the wrong player, and I'm going to choose buying the slightly wrong card. So that's real advice for everybody out there. But I mean, but if you're taking like the one-on-one strategist package with me or something like that, I'm telling you, just save your money. Like, save your money. If it's not the right card for the right player at the right time, save your money, because, build up that bankroll and buy in. There's like millions of cards. That's why there's millions of cards. Like, why would you? I get the game. I get the game like either or for the content, for the sake of this show, and it's a legit question. But the real answer is like, just, there's a million cards. Like, just wait until you have the bankroll to buy the right card for the right player at the right time. And if that means you have to wait another month or two after you have the money, do that.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball prospects, Paul, we got the spring breakout games coming up, and we've talked about them potentially being a sell marker. I know you had some stuff in the Discord that you wanted to break down real quick, so I'll go ahead and give you the reins to do so here.
Yeah, our guy Shane Graham, who I love, he's active in the live chat all the time. And I know all of you know that, because if you're listening to Spotify or Apple on the pod and you can never make it to the live chat, don't worry. Like, this is a long form audio podcast first, but we've got a great live chat. Shane's in there all the time, and Shane's in the Discord. Shane O'Mac in the Discord, same icon, so I know it's him. What's up, Shane? Great. Shane kind of in the baseball thread of the Discord at sportscardstrategy.com. Again, you can get that link if you're not familiar with it. Please be positive in there and don't ruin my day by telling me how shitty I am in the Discord. Just quick disclaimer. Shane is not shitty. He asks me a great question, got a great discussion going. This is exactly why I love doing what we're doing, Connor, because of people like Shane and 84 Rookie and Brendan, all the guys in that channel of the Discord, the baseball channel, talking about how do we sell these guys at the right time, because we've bought a ton of Jackson Holiday, a ton of Jackson Churio. There's hype around the baseball season, but that hype is rising certain guys. It's rising certain cards for certain guys, but not other cards that we happen to own. I get it. So thank you to Shane for bringing that up in the Discord. And I want to answer on this show, and I want to do you one better coming up here. So we've talked about the spring showcase, the MLB spring showcase. We've talked about it as a potential sell marker. And the conversation in the Discord kind of talks about, is it really going to be a sell marker for my, Jackson Churio, Bowman Chrome First Sapphire PSA 10, for example, or other similar type cards that are down? I think Shane mentions some particular Jackson Churio cards that he owns that I think I own too that are down. The base Bowman Chrome First Prospect PSA 10 is not up, right? You can still get that for about the same price that you've always been able to get it for about the last year. I think one of his autos actually is down in a particular PSA grade, the Bowman Chrome First Prospect. And so I know his base Prospect auto PSA 10 is up by 2x because I own it and I've looked at that, But I know that a lot of his other cards are down. Speaking of Jackson Chourio specifically here. So here's what I would do. We've talked about the spring showcase as a potential sell marker. That starts next week, right? The reason why we've mentioned it as a showcase for prospects is because the MLB has specifically put teams in that showcase that have top prospects, such as the Jacksons, Chourio and Holiday, Ethan Salas, other guys that we've recommended or talked about on the Sports Card Strategy Show that don't necessarily have cards that are up yet. So I know the entire nooffseason.com fam and the entire Sports Card Strategy Show audience is drooling at the mouth to sell all of these baseball prospects that we have been talking about for so long. And I did a show on Monday about this topic, and we're going to continue to cover this topic in depth throughout all of the selling markers for all of these guys and all of these cards specifically. And of course, we're going to send out sell alerts, text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. Here's the punchline, Connor. Here's the answer to your question, Shane Graham, and everybody else in the Discord that's talking about this. Be on alert. Have your cards ready. Look at each card. Look up the data. I don't care if you use market movers. If you want to use market movers and save 20%, you can use the promo code NOOFFSEASON. It's a great tool. There's other great data tools out there too. You can use 130 point. That's free. You just got to do a little bit more manual work. You can use eBay sold listings. That's free. Just got to do a little bit more manual work. Connor and I do it all the time. We know what it looks like. Okay. On a daily basis, check the sold comps of the cards that you own. And the minute that you see those comps going for what you want to get for them, list your card. Okay. I say list your card in a 7 to 10 day auction. I say list it starting at around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time so that it ends around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can schedule that on eBay. I say that because you can pit people up against each other over a long period of time, 7 or 10 days, during potential performance spikes. So if Jackson Chourio plays very well in this showcase, for example, or X player, Y player, Z player that you own cards of plays very well, and you start to see their card prices rise, and you aren't signed up for text alerts, sell alerts, or you're not listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show all the time, or you're not a premium member at nooffseason.com where you can ask these questions all the time through nooffseason.com/ask and we answer them specifically for you. Check. Don't list it if your card's not up or if the player isn't in the news cycle in a positive way. We've talked about Spencer Jones. We've talked about James Wood. These are guys that we've listed cards of. I've listed cards of because they're playing well and I want to move them. And I believe that the best way to move them is in these 7 to 10 day auctions. But the question in the Discord is, do we really think that the spring showcase is going to be a sell marker? Well, we don't know because, well, yes, we do, but we don't know if you should sell your cards yet because it hasn't happened yet. But this is so minute by minute that you just have to be ready. And you have to be ready during the spring showcase to see who plays well, to see who's in the news cycle, to see who X and Twitter are trending. And if your guys are playing well in the spring showcase, are trending on X Twitter, are in the news cycle, when you Google their name with the word news after it, you see so-and-so hits bombs, so-and-so might get called up, all these different things. List them. And if you're scared of the 7 to 10 day auction, guys, list them in a buy it now or best offer for 2x what you want to get for it, right? Just do that because that's better than not having them listed. The last thing that I want you to do is to miss a selling marker. That is the worst possible thing you can do. So this is very high level advice, but I like to get granular. So I'm going to do you one better. On Monday, March 18th, when I get back from spring break with my family, I'm going to be out all next week. So you're going to have amazing content from Connor, and don't worry, you're not going to get a bunch of ads. When I get back on Monday, March 18th, I'm doing basically, as long as you guys want, live chat QA, put your exact cards in the live chat QA for free, right? Put your exact cards in the live chat QA, and I'm going to look them up on the show, and I'm going to go one by one and tell you exactly what to do with it to maximize your returns. So get pumped for Monday, March 18th episode. Bookmark it. YouTube.com/Paul Hickey. Get in the live chat. If you can't do it and you want me to answer on the audio pod, because you always listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, put it in the baseball Discord channel where Shane already got the thing started. Just put it in the thing at Paul Hickey at No Offseason. I'll check it on Monday, March 18th during the show. I'll look up your card. We'll go as long as we need to. I'll go all freaking day if you guys need me to, right? Now, the best thing is to join nooffseason.com and get a free freaking 30-day trial. It's free. And we'll answer on the Overflow show. And we break it the F down on the Overflow show. We do. So that's the best thing to do. But I know a lot of you guys are saying that I'm self-serving. I can't make money. I have to be poor. I'm not allowed to have sponsors. I'm not allowed to self-promote our products. So Monday, March 18th, when I get back from spring break, live chat QA all day if we have to, one by one, answering exactly what I think you should do with your cards. But guys, I'm going to tell you this. It's pretty simple, actually. We've talked about it all year. A lot of selling markers for a lot of these guys. That's why we told you to buy them. So one potential selling marker is the hype rise of the baseball season. If you're up and you want the money, sell now, you're going to make money. If you want to wait and you want to see what they do during the spring showcase, do that. If you're not content during the spring showcase as a sell marker and you want to wait till call up, that's what we originally said anyway. So do that. Either way, as long as you list the card in the right way, which I can help you do, you're going to make money. But we've removed guys from our rankings. We're going to get into that later. We've removed guys from our rankings because some of them it's too late to buy in. So be on alert too. Like, it's selling season. Make no mistake. It's selling season. It is hype train season all aboard Rocky Empire Sports Cards. You're absolutely right, my man. Connor.
I love it.
Again, thanks to Shane Graham. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the key is the selling marker has always been the call up. It was never not the call up. We're just providing the audience with more context as we see different events along the way that could potentially be a sell marker, right? Because at the end of the day, if we see something that helps you maximize profits, that's not our original sell marker. We're not going to tell you guys to hold. We're not going to tell you guys to hold and wait for our sell marker after you've already seen the 2-3x profits that you would want to see, right? So sign up for sell alerts, 1-833-992-5727. I got you hooked up next week with sell alerts on guys, and then following when Paul Hickey gets back on the 18th. Sounds like a very valuable piece of free content coming your way in the form of a sports card strategy show where Paul will take you guys as long as you want and make sure that you know what to do exactly with your specific baseball prospect prints.
One more thing, Connor. One more thing.
Yeah.
I think I just want to address another strategy that people have brought up in this baseball thread because I think it's astute. I think it's very astute of our audience, and that is like selling too early, right? So, you just said it. You made me think of it when you said the marker has always been the call up. And that's true. The marker has always been the call up. We've said that. So if you're new to the show, if you're new to the fam, we may have confused you in recent episodes by talking about the spring showcase. And for that, I apologize. That's my fault. But yes, Connor's correct. Like we've seen so much happen in Major League Baseball related to these prospects, and you see it in the hype of spring training. You see it with the MLB wanting to build more hype around, like with things like the spring showcase. Lefty brought it up in one of the deep dives back in December, saying like, it might be smart to be first to the market before call up. We're just presenting alternative strategies. That's all we're doing. But really, the real strategy has always been sell at the call up. And the reason why is because of the data that, the research that you and I and others in the fam have put in to validate that. That's where you mitigate risk. You mitigate risk by selling at the call up, because especially if the call up is early on in the baseball season. I think we saw a little bit of an anomaly in some August call-ups last year where it didn't quite get the hype that we thought it would. But I think we maintain that the call-ups early on in the baseball season, even through early July, get the type of hype that is going to maximize the amount of eyeballs on an eBay auction to drive up comps. Hopefully you're one of those comps. Even if you're not one of those comps and you sell outside of eBay, everyone still references those, so you benefit from that. And a lot of times prospects don't play well upon call up. They really don't. Like Ellie De La Cruz was kind of an anomaly. So a lot of guys struggle. It makes sense. They're like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old when they hit the major leagues. And there's a lot of hype around their first series, but they don't always play well for their first few months. And so what happens is their prices plummet. And so you lose out. And so that's why we say sell at the call up, because 9.9 times out of 10, that player's cards are going to go down post call up. And I think the fear is that you're not going to maximize. People want to be the number one comp. We don't want you to try to be the number one comp. We think that's too risky. We think that's trying to thread the needle a little bit. We want you to be one of the comps on the way up to the top comp. So if you're expecting to listen to the Sports Card Strategy Show free of charge, or even to pay us for our premium advice at nooffseason.com and be the number one comp, I'm here telling you, don't have those expectations. We want you to make money, and we're going to help you make money and make profit. That might be 10%. That might be 20%. Now that could be 2, 3, 4x. It could. But I'm never going to promise that you're going to be the top comp. I never have, and I never will. But I want you to be one of the comps on the way to the top, not one of the ones on the way down to the bottom post call up.
Really well put there. Let's move along. Let's go ahead and hear from our guy, Gary from Hoops and Cards. A lot of people have been missing him. We've been missing him. He's going to break down top breakouts from March with sports basketball cards. Paul, anything you want to add before we tee up Gary for the breakdown?
For those of you saying, where's Gary? What's he been doing? Where's Hoops and Cards? We have worked with Gary to try and reboot Hoops and Cards in some way. And so we've got a little Hoops and Cards content for you right now, courtesy of Gary. We've got his March breakouts. And Connor, speaking of keeping it positive, there's no more positive guy than Gary from Hoops and Cards. Let's hear from him here.
What's up, everybody? This is Gary from hoopsandcards.com. Great to join the nooffseason.com sports card strategy show for a few minutes here and give you a couple takes on some players who are having a pre-pop right here in March. I cannot believe it's March already, but we've got to watch some of these guys, these young players. A few years ago, it was Darius Garland or Tyrese Maxey or Desmond Bane. Who are the players this March that are going to get more playing time, more shots, and show what they can do in a way that the league would take notice? And maybe card collectors, maybe you guys, we could find some deals now before everybody knows their names in a year or in 2 years. And there's one guy that is stepping up his game, and I've heard his name on several other podcasts, and it sort of affirmed to me what I've already been saying for a while. What I notice about this guy is that he's already arrived, but his team is a work in progress. At that being said, the San Antonio Spurs are also on everybody's mind. They're on a lot of big game network television games, and so everybody's tuning in to watch Victor Wembanyama. But friends, it's Devin Vassell. It's Devin Vassell. Certainly, Wembanyama deserves all the accolades. I'm high on him. I think he is a great long-term. If you can get good deals on Wembanyama in the offseason, I wouldn't tell you no. But the guy that's emerging, and this isn't his first March of emerging This is Devin Vassell taking his game from an 18 or 19 points a game guy to a 23, 24. I mean, he's still young. He's a great shooter. He's a 3-level scorer. His cards are relatively cheaper still. And about 3 months ago, I was able to buy a PSA 10 Devin Vassell silver. I think it was rookie penmanship in the Spurs uniform. Don't go for the draft picks. Go for PSA 10. Go for silver. Go for autos. That's what I got. And I believe I spent around $100 for those. Well, those. I should have bought like 5, right? I still might be buying. But Devin Vassell is a guy that in the last 10 games, and I would just urge you to watch the next 10 games of what this guy is capable of, because in a few years, or maybe even a year from now, we'll be talking about the Spurs with a core of Wembanyama and Devin Vassell and Trey Jones and Keldon Johnson. I think Greg Popovich will know which guys to keep in this core group moving forward. Jeremy Sochan, Malachi Branham. They've got a lot of young talent around a big superstar in Wembanyama, but Vassell is an incredible compliment to Vassell long-term. And the Spurs know it, but will the card market? And then the second guy, I could go a lot of different directions here. I could mention other players who are stepping up. I'm thrilled that Emmanuel Quickley is finally starting point guard, but it's in Toronto, where I'm not sure what that franchise is doing. And when you buy a card of a player, when you invest, it's your money. Like, it matters. Don't go throwing away your hard-earned dollars on a guy who may never be in a meaningful playoff series, or a guy who the flip opportunities are behind you now with Quickley. What the guy I'm interested in right now that's having a breakthrough, or is having a moment. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't, but his name is Keontae George. Keontae George for the Utah Jazz. I hesitate to say anybody on the Jazz because they've got 12 guys that seem to like to play a lot and score a lot. They've got Colin Sexton, they've got Clarkson, they've got just a variety of guys around Markkanen. But Keontae George, I believe, is 19. He's 19, and he's starting, and he's scoring, and he's explosive. He's at 19, reminding me a little bit of Anthony Simons, a little bit of Tyrese Maxey, but he's in a situation where they can watch him grow, and you're in a situation, card collector or investor, where there aren't a lot of Keontae George cards out there. Yes, the new Donruss, yes, the new 23-24 Prism, you're going to see some of those cards coming out, but I believe he has several autograph rookies from... don't go for the ones in the college uniform. Go for the ones in the Spurs uniform. The highest and most frequent sellers have been the NBA Rookie Ink or the Donruss rated rookie auto. I would just say, watch this kid. Watch him, and maybe he's the name that you know about because you heard him here at nooffseason.com, but the dealers don't know about him. And what they know about him is he's some kid in Utah, blah, 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 blah. Now, Keontae needs to be careful. If he drops 50 tomorrow night, then card collectors and dealers might have heard his name on SportsCenter. That's just bound to happen. It is. He is an explosive 3-level scorer, point guard, the kind of which people look at and say, like we did 3 years ago, Darius Garland's great. Well, guess what? Keontae George has massive, massive upside. So those are two guys, Devin Vassell, Keontae George. That's what I've got. Who are your guys? Who are your takes? Who are the March pre-pops that you think the rest of us should hear about? I'm Gary from hoopsandcards.com. Great to be part of the Sports Cards Strategy Show, Sports Card, nooffseason.com network. And good luck, collectors and investors, finding your pre-pops.
Love Gary. And a lot of you in the live chat are saying that you miss Gary. Look, we miss him too. And, you know, it's like nobody really does this full time. Like, Gary's got a full-time job. He started Hoops and Cards several years ago, around the same time I started the Sports Card Strategy Show. You know, it took me 4 years to leave my full-time job. So we're helping bring Gary to you on the Sports Card Strategy Show, basically, because we think he's a great guy. And we're, you know, Connor, before we break down what Gary's saying, it just kind of made me think with Cleo Cards' comment in the live chat that they miss Gary. I think, what we're trying to do on the Sports Card Strategy Show here is there are content creators in the hobby that are dropping like flies. Let's just be honest. People get in and then they can't hack it. They can't hack the grind, right? I was meant for the grind. You were meant for the grind. That's why you're here with me. And we are going to be here. And so as other content creators that we love have other things in their life that prevent them from bringing you the content that they were previously bringing you, i.e. Gary at Hoops and Cards, we want to support that. We want to lift that up. So you're going to hear from Gary consistently on the Sports Card Strategy Show in these Hoops and Cards segments. That's how you're going to get Hoops and Cards from now on. And so you want to support Hoops and Cards, you want to support nooffseason.com, you know how to do that. Let us know that you love Gary, that you love content from him. We're going to continue to bring you those insights from Gary. I thought those were great insights. I think it's great to have a different perspective from a basketball card standpoint on the show. I'm curious to your take on his March breakouts here, Connor. You're the basketball card guy in the house. And so you know what it takes from not only an NBA standpoint, but from a hobby standpoint to actually make money on some of these guys. I've heard Gary talk about Keldon Johnson before. Haven't heard him talk about Keontae George. What's your take on what Gary said?
Yeah, first of all, I love Gary. He's one of those guys we're talking about, good vibes, good energy. And I like the picks that he's bringing to our table. Here's my perspective. Love both of these guys. Hilarious that we'll get to Keontae George. Hilarious that he picked him just because of some of the stuff I was looking at. But starting off with Devin Vassell, I think that here you're assuming a lot of things for Vassell to go up, right? So, like, first of all, if we're talking kind of right card is Prism Silver PSA 10 for a guy that's of his caliber in his market and not the main guy on a team, it's more expensive than Darius Garland's. Pop count's just 35. It's not super liquid. It's only sold 3 times the last 60 days. So you'd have to look elsewhere. And Gary did mention a couple different kind of prints there. But I like Vassell. But here's the thing. We saw last year what he was capable of. Last year, he averaged almost 19 points a game, 4 boards, and 4 assists. This year, 19 points a game, 4 boards, and 4 assists. So I'm curious to your thoughts here, Paul, on I love that Gary pointed out he gets to play in the market with Wemby, so more eyes will be on him. I think that's a very important thing. I think he's right. I think the Spurs are moving in a good direction. They've got Pop as long as Pop wants to hang around. They're building the right pieces. They're getting the right players. He mentioned Jones at guard. A lot of good things there. Do you think, Paul, this would be a scenario where Wemby's shadow of influence is positive or negative for someone that's either a second or third option for the Spurs, like Devin Vassell?
I think there's like potential performance-based markers for Vassell and the Spurs for his cards to go up, but that is like so threading a needle for me. I mean, one of the things that makes my perspective unique, although like I said, as we've grown, I've gotten more and more heat for it, but I like to narrow in on what works. And it, the Devin Vassell buy-in to when you would actually see return on that is not for me. It's just not for me. I mean, I love that Gary, I don't disagree with Gary on Vassell in general, but he seems to me, to your point, to not really be a penny stock. So unless a guy's like a true penny stock where like you can go get him for like nothing and you just like, like you can fart out a card of his for free, it's just not for me. I don't know as much about Keontae George at all, so take that one too.
Yeah, let's get to Keontae George. So recently, I've been having a bit of a basketball kick in my life, trying to play more, trying to be more involved in it. Realized kind of re-loving the sport again, and because of that, I caved and bought NBA League Pass because I've decided I can't be missing games at the end of the careers of guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving. I want to watch Luka continue to dominate, even though he couldn't jump over a piece of paper if he wanted to. So I bought NBA League Pass, and the first game I watched was on February 15th, and it was the Golden State Warriors against the Utah Jazz. Keontae George was out there looking like a prime Jimmer Fredette. I mean, in 41 minutes, he went for 33 points. They couldn't guard him. He was 11 of 22 from the field, 9 of 16 from 3, had 6 assists on top of that. We're talking about a guy that when the 2023 draft is the 16th pick that was very not on the radar for a lot of people, right? And I think Gary mentioned a good point. They got a lot of ball-centric guys over there. A lot of guys that need the ball to score. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, stuff like that. But Keontae George has been cooking. March 2nd, went for 31, had 6 threes that game, 4 boards, 4 assists. He's a guy, however, that kind of matches the trend of young emerging guards that we see in the NBA. Low efficiency guys. He's shooting 39% from the field, 35% from 3. And if you look at his Prism Silver, it's even more expensive. And I think we're already kind of seeing the jump as a result of this strong play. It's up in PSA 10, 17% over the last 60 days. And last sale was $158 with a $151 average for sales over the last 60 days. So, and again, Gary mentioned some different prints to look at that he thinks are potential buys. But for me, it's like, man, I could go get 2 Anthony Simons. I could go get 2 Darius Garlands. I think for me, I'm going in that direction, but I love Keontae George's game, so I did want to make that point. He was someone that I literally went up and researched immediately after that game was done. But for me, just a little too pricey and not quite liquid enough, unless maybe you wanted to make a play where you're buying it raw. You can get in raw around the $30 range, but that's just my 2 cents there. Do love both these guys. Think they got a great game. Think they're going to help their teams win some games. But for me, an investment standpoint, I think they're flyer plays.
I think Gary does a great job of like not looking at the Captain Obvious thing. And I love that. I love that. I think that's what our audience loves. And it's fun to have conversations about it. And I just think like my perspective is that I learned so much the hard way. I spent so much money in 2021 and 2022 on sports cards. Like we're talking tens of thousands. Like this is why content creators sometimes are just gloom and doom in the hobby, because they honestly believe that they can just spend tens of thousands of dollars on sports cards and then make negative content about it if it doesn't go their way. And I've chosen to go in the other direction. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on sports cards to learn the hard way and create positive content that's helpful for people about it. And so my perspective is that we need to continue to have fun conversations about players like Keontae George and Devin Vassell so that our audience can have that banter and that talk about those guys. But that we need to be very, very clear about if you go all in on guys like this and start buying a bunch of their cards, it can be a very slippery slope. And it can just be a complete money pit. And so I love that Gary is not Captain Obvious. And I think I'm here to kind of pull back things over into the center and say, keep it coming, Gary. We love you. But I'm always going to bring is this a really good buying decision right now to the table? And I don't see a sell marker for either of these guys that isn't some amazing performance-based spike. And I think you brought up a great point about George a second ago, that because he has played so well, his cards are too expensive to buy, like too much of an expensive buy-in for you personally right now compared to Garland, Simons, and other guys. I would rather go where they ain't, right? I think that like a lot of times people, especially new to the show, start to go where the hype is. We want you going where they ain't. We want you looking at guys that either aren't playing well right now, or maybe are injured right now, or off the radar, or out of season. And so it's like, it's very, very easy in basketball season to talk about basketball cards, but we want to talk about basketball cards during basketball season where you're ready to cash in. And we want to talk about cards this time of year that you should be buying with a selling marker. That's not for this episode. Stay tuned. But, I think that, that's my take on this type of content. We're going to keep it coming for you guys, though, because we know you love it and we love Gary. Again, hoopsandcards.com. More from Gary on the Sports Card Strategy Show, facilitating content from other creators in the hobby right here as part of the nooffseason.com Sports Card Network.
Yeah, well put. I do want to clarify, like, I think this is fantastic analysis from Gary. Definitely not, I don't want it to sound like we're just completely denying the stuff he's looking at. I just want to stay away from performance-based markers, and I want to stay away from guys that have already kind of seen spikes. I know we talk about Darius Garland all the time, and people are listening are probably like, dear God, let it go, guys. I won't. His 2019 Prism Silver and PSA 10 is down 40% the last 60 days with an average cost of $76. Last sale of $53. Pop count 1,600. Super liquid. 32 sales in the last 60 days. If you guys are not looking to buy, he's an all-star, guys. This guy was already an all-star. You can buy this for $53. You can buy Keontae George, who's not shooting 40% from the field, for 160. Just my 2 cents. All right, let's keep moving along over to invest or fade. I think we've got a couple interesting points to look at here, and I'm curious to see what Paul thinks. So we're going to kick things off. Normally we wouldn't talk skill position, guys, but that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to talk Christian McCaffrey. His 2017 Prism Silver and PSA 10 is down 41% the last 30 days while trading 26 times over that time period. So this is a liquid card and traded between $235 and $300 during the entire playoffs. Paul, is this a scenario where you want to wait longer and see McCaffrey's market kind of go down here? Do we need to be fading this because it's a skill position guy? Are we okay with buying someone that's so affordable at the time, knowing that we're not going to wait for him necessarily to have time to get hurt, right? We're going to try and sell during that NFL hype spike. For reference, last sale 213, 60-day average 235. Like I mentioned, kind of was trading around that $300 mark in the playoffs. What are your thoughts here?
I love this because, like, less than a minute ago, I said that we want you focused on buying players that are down because nobody's paying attention to them right now and that have a selling marker for the future. And this could not have been timed any more perfectly by you, Connor. And we didn't even plan that. Christian McCaffrey, 2017 Prism Silver PSA 10. You said down 41% in the last 30 days, still trading at a high frequency. I mean, it was trading for a lot more just a couple of months ago during the NFL playoffs. The question is, wait longer, fade skill position. I think this is an interesting buy right now because normally we have like a guideline that's like only buy quarterbacks, but then we have another guideline that says, well, you can buy running backs if they fit these following criteria. One of them being, the best player on their team, potential MVP candidate, Super Bowl contender. So I think, even though he's a skill position player, he fits all those three. And so I actually like Christian McCaffrey with this particular card. Keep in mind, he's in a Carolina Panthers uniform. It's his rookie card, which is more desirable typically than his San Francisco 49ers cards. But 49ers fans know that. They still want his cards. Football fans know that. Here's another thing to consider with McCaffrey. He's perennially, until further notice, a top 5 fantasy pick. So, he's got that going for him. So I think, Andy Kaysen from Football Card Quest, our good friend, brings data to the table all the time about how fantasy hype drives card prices for football players. And McCaffrey's checking all those boxes. So he's checking the go where they ain't because it's the offseason box. He's checking it's down right now, but this is a liquid card. It's the right card, 2017 Prism Silver PSA 10. I like it. I'm investing. Now, I'm not literally going out and buying his card, but for the sake of this segment, investor fade, I'm choosing invest. So you have my Paul Hickey stamp of approval to go in to this Christian McCaffrey card right now, if you can get it for this price, right? There's a lot of probably buy it now or best offer options out there that are still around $300. Don't fall for those. If you can get it for the price that Connor's talking about, down 41% from that mark, then you've got profit margin built in for the selling marker of week 1 of the NFL season. I think there's going to be a lot of hype around Christian McCaffrey. I also think there's going to be a big contingent that thinks he got screwed over for the MVP award, and that could rise his prices heading in to the NFL season as well. So I would not be surprised if this card even goes up in August with the NFL hype, and that could be an early selling marker even before week 1. I like it, Connor.
Love it. Yeah. And one thing, I always want to be as accurate as possible for our audience. So for transparency, we're not always finding this information live on the show or right before the show. So it looks like since I found this information 2 days ago, the last 30 days mark has kind of changed based off a recent sale. It actually says he's up 7% the last 30 days. But if you pull that out to the last 60 days, as of right now, when I'm talking on the Sports Card Strategy Show, this card is down 27% over the last 60 days. Like I mentioned, average cost of $235, last sale of $213. And if you look at the playoff prices, I mean, Paul was just mentioning this card's going $300, $280, $290, $294. So yeah, the upside's there. Essentially, if you could get this card in that 215 to 230 range, I think you can handsomely make sure that you're in a good place to make profits based on the NFL hype cycle. So let's move along to my second pick for today and see Paul's thoughts there. Paolo Banchero, 2022 Prism Silver PSA 10. I've been on record saying that I don't necessarily believe in Paolo Banchero for the long run. I kind of thought he was a tweener between, being a versatile guard and being a forward. And at the end of the day, I'm always okay to say that I might be wrong. Whether I am or not, it doesn't matter right now because we're just trying to make money. This card's down 22% over the last 30 days, 17% over the last 30 days as of today, actually, and selling for an average of $250 across 31 trades over that time period, which is a 365-day low for this card. I got a lot of questions here, Paul. I don't really know why he's down. He's an all-star this year. He hit a game winner right after the all-star break. Orlando's overachieving. He's averaging 23, 7, and 5. Here's my concern. It's great that it's down, but dang, it seems like these things that are happening should be fueling increases in pricing. So my question is, if you buy this card, should you be concerned? Like, what would it take for him to actually go up? What does it take for this card to move? Because those are some serious markers. All-star, hit a game winner, Orlando playing well. What are your thoughts here on Paolo Banchero's 2022 Prism Silver and PSA 10?
My thoughts first are that it's really freaking hard to make money flipping sports cards. I've gone on like several rants and soapboxes and diatribes on this very show, and I apologize to everyone who's annoyed with me for those, but that's why, because again, it's really freaking hard to make money. So a lot of times I am going to fade cards before I tell people to buy in. And we are carefully curating the cards at nooffseason.com behind the paid wall and in our sports card rankings, which are free, not the eBay auctions page ending today, which I think a lot of people are getting a little bit confused. Not that we don't think you can make money on those cards on the eBay auctions ending soon page, but those aren't as carefully curated as the ones that are in our rankings and behind the paid wall. And the reason why I'm fading a lot of cards is because I don't know why cards like this go down, but they just do. Not every player who plays well has their right cards go up, everyone. And so kudos to Connor for bringing this discussion to the table on this episode. But here's what I can tell you. You guys have probably heard me say a million times, don't buy into players' rookie cards until 3 to 6 months after their last rookie cards hit the market. Paolo Banchero's in his second year. He's in that pocket of time. And now's the time to buy in because his cards are so low, right? So I hate to say I told you so, and I'm right about this stuff, but there's a reason why people pay me to help them with it, right? There's a reason why, because I know what I'm doing, right? And so I said to fade Paolo Banchero in an episode at the end of December, even when his prices for this very card were down. The prices for this card did go up a little bit, but in general, they've stayed down, right? They've stayed at this thing. So if you're not the comp from January 11th, where it sold for $331, pretty much I was right when I said, I don't see a selling marker for this card. In spite of his great play, in spite of being a first-time All-Star, in spite of the Magic currently being slotted as the 4 seed in the East, this card just isn't up. What would it take for this card to go up? I'll tell you. Paolo Banchero to have a phenomenal playoff series. This card will go up. So right now, Connor, I actually think this card could be an amazing buy. I'm not concerned as to what it would take for it to go up. I know what it would take. It would take a phenomenal playoff series from Paolo Banchero and the Magic winning a playoff series, and this card will go up. It'll go back up. If that happens, mark my words, flag plant. If that happens, if that very thing happens, it'll make that 331 sale on January 11th of 2024 look puny, minuscule, every other adjective for small, right? It will. It'll be like a $500 or $600 card. But the problem is, do we know that that's going to happen? No, So if you can get this Paolo Banchero card, now 4 of them sold on Monday for $216. I'll tell you what, if you can get it for that, do it. Because here's why. If that doesn't happen, that playoff series win where Paolo Banchero is the hero of that series, he's still the number 1 player on the Magic. They're now a winning franchise, and I think that card would probably still go up in October. That's my other selling marker for NBA cards. When all else fails, if you bought in at the right time, you should still be able to sell that card for a profit during the first week leading up to the NBA season and the first week of the NBA season during that 2-week hype window. I like this. I like this card. Now, again, I seem like kind of a dick on today's episode. I apologize to all new listeners, by the way. I was right about not buying into this card back in December, but now I think it's a great buy. And that's just the weird timing of the NBA market. Like, look, again, 3 to 6 months after their last rookie card hits the market, the pricing starts to plateau. NBA cards are tricky. If everybody could make money flipping NBA cards, everybody would do it. It's hard.
I think also, but keep that chart up for a second. Like, well, no worries. Also, if you look at this chart, where else can this thing go, right? I feel like we have to be very close based on the performances that we've seen from Paulo, based on the players that we know he is. He's an all-star, Magic moving in the right direction. I feel like this card has to be near its floor, Paul. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree. I agree with you. I agree with Christopher Bell in the live chat. Great stuff from Christopher Bell. Good to see you. And Rocky Empire likes me even in this confident, sassy mode. Infinity Trader does too. I agree with Infinity Trader. He has the it factor. He's proven, he's proven now for all the reasons that you stated a minute ago and that I reiterated. He's the guy. Now is the time to buy his cards. If you can get him for this price. And I like this as the right card. Again, there are other right cards for Paolo Banchero. They might cost more money. There are other right cards. I think this is the one that is like the floor of the right cards for him. So it's the most affordable, I think. Again, there's a lot of people in the Discord that are criticizing me for giving recommendations on cards that are too expensive. I understand you might not be able to afford a $200 card. We all have different financial situations. But I'm sorry, it's probably the least expensive you could get into Paolo Banchero at and still have the right card with the upside to make money on it. So I like it.
Good stuff. Yeah, and we're talking about right cards. If you're a premium member at nooffseason.com and you've seen our updated rankings that lead you to player profiles, those show you exactly what the right cards are there, Paul. So I know you want to discuss kind of the changes in the rankings that we've been making a little bit. So I'll go ahead and let you take the reins again here.
Yeah, again, thanks to our audience and our premium members for asking really intelligent questions. Like we've had sports card rankings at nooffseason.com since 2021. They're constantly changing. And the reason, if they weren't constantly changing, we would be really crappy at our job. They have to be constantly changing because if you think logically about what we do, it changes day by day. And so we update these day by day, and we update these throughout different cycles. So we had some very intelligent audience members on the Discord ask us about where are the individual sports rankings? Great question. As we have entered into MLB baseball hype cycle and the NBA hype cycle is upon us, F1 season hype cycle starting soon, and the NFL draft hype cycle and offseason sell markers in full swing. We've narrowed down our rankings this time of year on purpose to avoid making misleading buying recommendations just for the sake of having more players listed. That's kind of the theme of what I talked about earlier in this episode. Our goal is to help you make money flipping sports cards and timing the market, buying the right card for the right player at the right time, and selling at the right time is critical. Selling in all caps. Thus, we don't want you buying in at the top of the market. As the market cycles change, our rankings change accordingly, meaning we remove players approaching sell markers during certain times of year and expand during buying opportunities at other times of year. Please understand that our rankings are always fluid and changing based on the best opportunities we see in the market for buying. When players are removed, it means they're approaching selling markers, and we put out content about that accordingly in other formats such as our sell alerts. Text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727 to get those sell alerts. And of course, these string of podcasts that we've been putting out. Monday's show was focused on kind of starting to sell baseball cards. We've talked a lot about it on today's show, among other things. But yeah, the sports card rankings, just to be clear, Connor, they're free. They're free. The rankings are free. You can go to nooffseason.com, click on the sports card rankings. I don't think you can get sports card rankings based on how to make money flipping sports cards anywhere else in the world other than nooffseason.com. So you can go there, check them out for free. And to your point, yeah, we've added player profiles. Player profiles have always been for premium members. We took them away for a while we were trying to figure out how to add the most value to them. And now they're back. Thanks in big part to you, Connor, and others in the nooffseason.com fam. Some audience members deserve credit for some of that. So I'm just appreciative to everybody for helping us build this community again. And speaking of helping us build this community, one pillar of our community that we talk about a lot on this show, but we're going to hear from him a lot more because I know you've been recording segments with him for the Sports Card Strategy Show coming up, is Lefty McKee. Lefty McKee has his own show right here on the nooffseason.com Sports Card Network. We thought his content, as much as I love talking to Lefty and he's one of my best friends, because of this show, he's one of my best friends. That's how much this show means to me. We thought he needed his own show because we thought that this show wasn't big enough for the both of us. So Lefty is getting his own show and he's pumped about it. He gets to talk about whatever the F he wants without me muzzling him. First shows March 11th and April 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Guys, go to leftycards.com. That's where you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and get alerts on live streams. So go to leftycards.com. You'll find the link there to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Sign up for alerts on his live streams. I'm pumped for Lefty Cards, Connor. I think you're going to be joining him on that first episode on Monday, March 11th, right?
That's right. Looking forward to it. Excited to get Lefty back in the game. Like you're saying, give him a bigger platform to kind of do Lefty things. I know you guys are missing, I know you guys are missing some of that Lefty personality there. So I'm excited to be alongside him again and put out some great content on that front. Speaking of things releasing, Upper Deck Series 2 release, which means Connor Bedard's Young Guns is hitting the market. Paul, what is the play here? Break it down for everyone.
I think the play is to watch and have fun watching. Add some to your watch list. Don't buy into breaks. Don't buy wax and rip wax. I think there might be some at retail. Just be careful. I mean, retail blasters are expensive even for Upper Deck Series 2 hockey, and they're going to be very expensive for Bedard stuff. You're going to see a lot from a lot of different content creators out there. I mean, the hobby is all about like what is the current shiny, flashy, new object that everybody wants to talk about, what got ripped, what breaks you can buy into, great. More power to those content creators. Again, I'm friends with a lot of them. I don't go that direction. So we want to talk about the fact that Upper Deck Series 2 hockey is releasing. It's a big freaking deal because of this Connor Bedard Young Guns rookie. As our friend Jeremy Lee from Sports Cards Live said on the Sports Card Strategy Show not too long ago, he said Young Guns is the everyman's rookie card. It's like the Prism Silver PSA 10. If you get a Young Guns PSA 10, it's equivalent to that. And Connor Bedard is the biggest prospect, the biggest hockey player, the biggest name in the sport of hockey since Connor McDavid. And that's a big deal. So, you've got guys like Austin Matthews and other young players in the NHL making it exciting, but Connor Bedard is like the Wemby of hockey. And so he really is. So you got to be careful not to buy into breaks, not to get wrapped up in trying to rip stuff at retail, buying a bunch of blasters, buying a bunch of hobby boxes. Just be careful. You're going to lose money doing that, trying to chase Connor Bedard's Young Guns. So the strategy is to wait, watch, add things to watch list, monitor prices. If you see, for whatever reason, that there is a raw to grade at PSA opportunity where you can buy raw singles that you think will grade well and grade them at PSA. It's going to be super hard to be first to the market for that. But that would be one play. Another play would be what I said a minute ago on this show. Wait until 3 to 6 months after his last rookie card is released, or AKA in this case, after he starts his second season. The market will have cooled off on this young guns. Buy in to the PSA 10 after the market cools off and plateaus. That is the safe play, because this guy is going to be someone that gets a ton of media attention throughout his career. He's the savior of the NHL right now. And, he happens to have the same first name as Connor McDavid. Unfortunately, they both spell it wrong. We know you spell it correctly. That's my take. That's the play. What do you think, Connor with an E?
Yeah, I'm on the same page, particularly with the name spelling there. I think that it's easy to be excited at all new releases, like you're saying, like they just fuel hobby hype. But very often for us, the excitement in a like singularly focused in one area probably means that we're not overly interested in buying it at the moment. So yeah, I think it was all very well put there. I think we always are looking for certain indicators that make something a good buy. Right now, obviously, we're not going to recommend ripping wax. You mentioned kind of watching and enjoying from a distance. I think that's the key here. So well put there. Speaking of watching, Paul, and for anyone that thinks we're not self-aware of the content we put out, you're just so mistaken. I pretty much listen to every single piece of content we've ever put out, and that includes the content that I'm a part of. Like, it just plays in the background because, like, we're always looking for ways to improve. We want to make sure we're bringing value. We want to make sure we're being accurate. All of these things. One thing that is not something that just sits in the background is the 7 minutes of strategy stuff that you put out at youtube.com/Paul Hickey, where you've had some fantastic guests. Guys like DJ Ski, guys like Gary freaking V. Those things are awesome. If you're not at youtube.com/Paul Hickey watching those videos, you're missing some fantastic guests with some great hosting from Paul Hickey there. And we've got another fantastic 7 minutes of strategy coming up. Paul, I will let you take things away there.
My guest tomorrow on 7 minutes of strategy at youtube.com/Paul Hickey is bringing a ton of value. Here's a quick 1 minute preview of tomorrow's show. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show and the nooffseason.com family. I'm pumped you're here, man.
Paul, I am happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
What opportunities do you see moving forward for our audience to make money flipping sports cards?
Well, I will say it's a lot harder today than it was a few years ago, right?
I don't care what anyone tells me. You and the team at Market Movers have created the best app for tracking sports card data. Tell us about the value proposition of Market Movers, along with some of the challenges of creating an app for the hobby.
It is challenging to build an app like that. And the reason why it's challenging is because the marketplaces don't enforce standards or have standards when it comes to how cards are being named. But it's really our vision to be able to empower collectors with more data, more knowledge, and allow them to make more confident buying and selling decisions. And that's what we're trying to do with our products.
For those of you who don't recognize the voice, Geoff Wilson, the founder of SportsCardInvestor, Market Movers app, Cards HQ, Sports Cards for Dummies book. I mean, this guy is an inspiration. He's done so much for the hobby. How to improve and grow the hobby with Geoff Wilson tomorrow at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Get advice for making money flipping sports cards. Talk about the challenges, creating an accurate data tracking app for the hobby. That's a very interesting part of the conversation. The importance of content marketing in the hobby, the Sports Cards for Dummies book, how to expand the hobby, why Geoff is passionate about expanding the hobby. And then I think, Connor, the thing that I'm most excited about is major features being added to Market Movers. And that is not like a sales plug. Seriously, like there is one thing that I've always hypothesized is missing. We are missing data. We're missing data from Market Movers, whether you like Card Ladder, whether there's other data tracking apps out there. Our guy, Andy Kaysen at Football Card Quest, has one called the Keep 'em web app. It's outstanding. But There has been data missing from all these apps that we've been talking about for so long. I talked to Geoff about it tomorrow. I think it's brilliant what he's doing. I had an idea for it a long time ago. I just don't have the business infrastructure that Geoff has. He's executing it. I'm pumped about it. I want to know if any of you in the audience think you know what the missing data is. It's right under our noses, everybody. Drop a comment at youtube.com/Paul Hickey below on this video if you think you know what the missing data is. I'm excited to get into it tomorrow with Geoff Wilson on 7 Minutes of Strategy. So I'm really pumped about that. Another couple of housekeeping notes, guys. Before we get to the audience QA, we're going to bring it strong with the audience QA here in a second. I am out all of next week, I mentioned. Fingers crossed, since all of you know my address, that nobody robs my house while I'm out on spring break with my family. Connor has amazing stuff planned for both shows. Don't worry. You don't get my salesy ass trying to get you to upgrade for our packages or pay attention to our sponsors. You just get Connor. So get pumped for both shows next week without me. And then I'm back Monday, March 18th. And again, I mentioned earlier this episode that I'm excited to really get into it with you guys. Long form baseball prospect selling live QA will go as long as we need. Speaking of QA, Connor, let's get into the audience QA from this app, man. What do we got?
Yeah, let's do it. Starting off, I want to hit on our guy, Christopher Bell, real quick. Found you guys a couple weeks ago. Have been listening ever since. Love that you go over all sports. Christopher, we will continue to go over all sports. It might seem like at certain times throughout the year, we're focusing on a particular sports. That's probably because it's the right time to be buying certain players and certain cards for those players. But love that you've joined the family. We're pumped to have you here. Thank you for the kind words and for being active in the live chat and for your support. All right, let's hop into our questions from our fantastic audience. Actually, we're going to kick things off with a W. Ryan Painter just seems to get W's every freaking week, and we love seeing him. Picked up a T. Higgins PSA 10 Genesis rookie, thinking he may switch teams in free agency. Bought for $78. Sold last night for $135, even though he never switched teams. Good work there, Ryan. Keep us posted on the W's. We love hearing them. We love hearing W's from all you guys. Let us know your W's when you're winning. Up next, Shane Graham. Mentioned his holy grail. Says a 1998 X-Century Dunkin' Go Nuts Kobe Bryant PSA 10. Love it, Shane. Thanks for sharing. Let's head over to Infinity Trader. Are you guys buying Wemby Prism cards? He's a generational player. His cards are high now, but damn, his chase is great. Paul, before you break down if you're buying Wemby right now, I want to add another layer and kind of give my thoughts. I think the easy answer to this is probably no. But if you're going to be buying him right now, and this is just my 2 cents, Paul, we'll see what you think. If you're going to be buying him right now, you better be damn sure that he is literally the next face of the league, because that's the only scenario where these cards don't go down at least a little bit to a spot where it's a better time to buy them. That's my thought there. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, 2 words for you, Zion Williamson. That's the downside, right? So that's what I'm concerned with. I mean, Wemby's Prism Silver PSA 10, you know, that's a hard. I'll comp another card here in a second, and then we'll move on. But that's only a pop 62, so that's a hard. I mean, but that's a $3,000 card. That's up $1,000 over the last 30 days. You know, the PSA 9 of that is a $700 card. You know, the raw version of that, the raw version. This is the best one to talk about. That's an $873 card. That's up $236 over the last 30 days. I mean, you got to be careful here. Like, so no, I'm not. I love Infinity Trader. Infinity Trader, thank you for being in the live chat. Thank you for DMing me at Sports Card Strategy on IG. I'm always there for you, man. Like I am for all of you in the nooffseason.com fam. Hit me up. But look, no, it's not. It's not smart. You know, $873 to spend on a raw card. And the downside is Zion Williamson. You know, that is why people don't do what we do. Content creators are afraid to do what we do. As much as I love all of them and they're my friends and they know this, like I've said, like they know this. We've had conversations about this, like on their shows, right? So I'm not saying anything publicly that we haven't already discussed publicly with each other. But content creators are afraid of doing what I do and what Connor and I do on this show because of stuff like this. They don't want to tell you to buy into Victor Wembanyama because they know that this is a huge financial risk at $900 for a raw card. I'm just going to flat out tell you, don't buy this card. Like, that's as simple as easy to me. And I think, I'm aware that there are, hundreds of other silver 2023, or, not silver, but I'm aware that there are hundreds of other 2023 Prism Victor Wembanyama parallels that we could be breaking down. But for the sake of time, you, Infinity Trader and everybody else, you would be buying in, keep in mind, at a peak hype of his rookie season. Like, he's playing very well. He is who we thought he was. Denny Green, former coach of the Arizona Cardinals, famous quote, he is who we thought he was. And so, no, it's not going where they ain't. There's no breaking of the guideline or the rule here with Victor Wembanyama. It's a huge risk. I'm not buying in yet. Period of uncertainty, Connor.
Well put. Again, the only way that these cards, and I think they probably still would, the only freaking way that you wouldn't lose money, at least for a short period of time buying these cards, is if he just becomes the next face of, finishes the season averaging 35, 15, and 10, and continues to do that for the rest of his career. Otherwise, these cards are going to freaking go down. So well put there, Paul. Got to be a fade for me. Got to be a fade for Paul Hickey. Up next, Dylan L. in the live chat. Question for Q&A at the end. Is it too late to get into O'Neal Cruz, Paul? More hype to come because he's coming off an injury, or does he need to perform well for the price to rise? Where are you at on O'Neal Cruz? We've talked about buying him a couple different times throughout the last several months. Where are you sitting right now?
Yeah, we did. We talked about him a few shows back, if you will. O'Neal Cruz is an electric player. He's the type of baseball player that I like. The only problem with O'Neal Cruz is that he's well past his initial selling marker. He did really, really well at the call up. And I know we talked about him a few shows back as being someone whose particular cards were down. He has a 2016 Bowman Chrome First Prospect Auto in PSA 10. That particular card was down. He's a scenario by scenario guy. And I'm afraid that I'm looking at his data right now as I'm talking, and he's hitting the pocket of up a lot everywhere because of the fact that it is baseball hype season. His overall card market is up over the last 30 days, 5%, 10% over the last 60 days. There's room for O'Neal Cruz. Don't get me wrong. The short answer is he's risky right now to buy, but there is room. It's going to take a performance spike. It's going to take O'Neal Cruz just absolutely hitting bombs, which he's capable of. So I don't hate it, but it falls in the category to me of not a smart sports card flip or investment. It falls into the category of, I want to have a little fun. I want to place a player prop bet from a card standpoint on an O'Neal Cruz dinger or 37 this season. So if you're into that, go for it. If you're looking to make money on a surefire bet, I'd fade it.
Yeah, well put there. I think there's just better places to put your money. Another question from Dylan says, been trying to follow the investment on Anthony Richardson. All raw Prism cards seem to be insanely off-center. Do I buy anyway or save and focus on PSA 10s?
Yeah, good question. I noticed kind of the same thing. At nooffseason.com for premium members, we have curated some opportunities for Anthony Richardson specifically because we've talked so much about it on the show, so that you can find curated opportunities to buy raw and grade at PSA on his player profile. But most of them are off center. I agree. I've looked at them. I think if you can find a well-centered one out in the real world off of eBay, I think it could be a play. If don't just buy for the sake of buying on eBay if it is off center. So I think that's the play. I think it's more of a fade than it is buy at all costs with Anthony Richardson. Again, there's some higher dollar cards of his that I like more. I think the real play is to wait with him. I just wanted to bring up some raw to grade possibilities during the NFL offseason with the QBs a few eps back, because you've got Richardson, you've got Stroud, you've got Levis, and who am I missing? Oh, Bryce Young. number one overall pick. You've got those 4 guys that are similar to the 2021 class in terms of what we knew about the 2021 class going into their second season. So in their first full off season, between their rookie season and their second season, I'm reminded a lot. And when I look back at that data from that 2021 class, when you graded their raw Donruss cards and some of their prisms, not Trevor Lawrence, you made a lot of money when you sold them in late August, early September. So if you can get the right ones for AR, you might need to go to Donruss. Go to Donruss and do it and do the pricing analysis and see if there's something there. If you can find well-centered cards that you think will gem with the Donruss set, that's a play. If Prism's off center, fade it.
Good stuff. Thanks for the question, Dylan. We're pumped to have you here live with us today. I want to give a shout out to our guy, Brian Steeler 714 says, I bought the James Wood Bowman Bests, an atomic out of 25, a gold out of 50, a gold lava out of 75, all auto, and all came back 10s. I have 200 into all 3 cards, including grading, kind of 5x at least on those cards. Great work there, Brian Steeler. While it's not necessarily the card we would pick for you, we're pumped that you got a W under the belt and always want to hear them from your guys there. Paul, I'm going to let you take the reign on whatever else you want to discuss here before we wrap up the show. But I do want to note, guys, if we do not get to your questions today, we spend several hours a week, both myself and Paul, making sure the Overflow show is as valuable as freaking possible. So if you haven't signed up for a free premium membership, you can do so at nooffseason.com to get a free 30-day trial. Submit your questions at nooffseason.com/ask. And then that Friday, after you submit the question, we will break down in depth an answer to your question there.
Absolutely. I just want to take one more from Chris Ayers, new name in the live chat. Shout out to Chris. I'm going to take one of his 2 here. Our Bryce Harper rookies selling high. So I just quickly looked up some Bryce Harper rookie card prices over the last 30 days. His rookie cards are slightly up. Over the last 7 days, they're actually up about 5% as a whole. So it depends on what rookie card you're looking at, but I will tell you this, over the last 14 days, here are the ones that are up the most. I'm going to go by the number of sales here, Connor. So we want to pick a liquid card for Bryce Harper. And he has here's the one that hits the sweet spot. The Bryce Harper 2012 Topps Chrome 196 base hitting. That card raw is up 42%. There you go. There's a lot of Bryce Harper cards that are up right now. Again, so Chris, fun to talk about current major leaguers. There are opportunities with current major leaguers. They're not as straightforward as the opportunities we talk about in terms of buying prospects and then flipping at the call up as the sell marker. So just want to say thanks to everybody out there. Brian Steeler 714. I saw some of your comments in the live chat. Very positive stuff from all of you today. Really appreciate it. As you could tell, guys, I'm going through some stuff, just dealing with our growth and dealing with not everybody being friendly with me all the time. But look, I love you all. I want to make that clear. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm very grateful to have Connor. He's not going anywhere. We got more great stuff to come for the remainder of 2024 and beyond. So stick with us. Give us your feedback. Paul at nooffseason.com. Join the Discord. Quick link at sportscardstrategy.com. We love you all. Connor, anything else you want to add before I hit him with the outro?
See you on Monday. Be ready for a great show.
Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. To connect with us further, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Please also give us a follow on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy and on X at NoOffSeasonCard. We also have a Discord that you could join at SportsCardStrategy.com. Everyone, I'm Paul Hickey. For the rest of us here at nooffseason.com, have a great day. We'll see you again soon.